The Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area, known as the DMV, boasts a vibrant housing market. It's a region that attracts a diverse range of people, from young professionals to seasoned government officials. The allure? A strong job market, top-tier schools, and cultural attractions. Yet affordability has become a growing concern, particularly for first-time home buyers. Inventory often struggles to keep pace with demand, leading to bidding wars and urgency among buyers. President Trump's tariffs targeted goods like steel and aluminum to boost American manufacturing. The cost of key construction materials skyrocketed, complicating an already complex industry. Builders faced shrinking profit margins, forcing tough decisions, absorb costs, pass them to buyers, or delay projects. Home buyers faced escalating home prices, making home ownership seem further out of reach. Sellers navigated a market grappling with uncertainty. Whether you're a seasoned homeowner, a first-time buyer, or an investor, the impact of tariffs on the DMV housing market is crucial to understand. We'll explore how these tariffs have affected construction costs, housing supply, and mortgage rates. Our goal is to empower you with the knowledge to navigate the complexities of the DMV housing market. We'll provide insights to help you make informed decisions in this evolving landscape. Equip yourself with the tools to make smart choices in this dynamic market. Tariffs are like unwelcome guests at a party. They disrupt the flow and create tension. President Trump unleashed a wave of new tariffs, targeting China and allies like Canada and Mexico. These tariffs aim to reduce the trade deficit and protect American jobs. Critics argued that tariffs amounted to a tax on American consumers and businesses, driving up prices. The impact on the U.S. economy, including the DMV housing market, has been significant. In early 2018, the Trump administration imposed tariffs on imported steel and aluminum. These metals, essential in construction, saw their prices surge almost immediately. The tariffs added thousands of dollars to the cost of building a new home. This exacerbated an existing affordability crisis in many parts of the country, including the DMV. Companies relying on these metals faced rising costs, passing the burden to consumers. The Trump administration expanded its trade offensive to include goods like lumber and solar panels. Tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber, a key material in home construction, proved contentious. The tariffs added significantly to the cost of lumber, sparking outrage among home builders. Tariffs on Chinese-made building components added further pressure to the construction industry. This made it more expensive to build new homes and renovate existing ones. The goal of the Trump administration's tariff policy was to protect American industries and jobs. They argued that tariffs were necessary to level the playing field and bring back manufacturing jobs. Some industries benefited, while others struggled with higher costs. Consumers felt the pinch of higher prices on a range of goods. The tariffs sparked retaliation from trading partners, disrupting global supply chains. Imagine building a house like assembling a giant jigsaw puzzle, each piece representing a different material. The tariffs hit, and the cost of essential building materials shot up. Building a new home became pricier, and those costs trickled down to homebuyers. Steel and aluminum saw price hikes, impacting everything from framing materials to nails and screws. Even minor components like fasteners and insulation saw their prices rise. Lumber emerged as a poster child for the volatile nature of global trade. The tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber played a significant role in price volatility. Builders faced a moving target, making it challenging to estimate costs and provide accurate quotes. Some included escalation clauses in contracts, while others absorbed increased costs. The uncertainty surrounding lumber prices led to project delays and budget overruns. The rising cost of materials wasn't the only headache for the construction industry. The tariffs, combined with a robust economy and a shortage of skilled labor, drove up labor costs. Construction companies competed for a limited pool of qualified workers, driving up wages. The shortage of skilled labor can be attributed to an aging workforce and stricter immigration policies. The tariffs may have exacerbated this labor shortage, adding another layer of expense. Rising material and labor costs created a domino effect in the DMV's housing market. Builders faced tough choices: delay projects, scale back amenities, or pass costs to buyers. Some developers paused new projects, leaving empty lots vacant. Other builders downsized projects, reducing square footage and eliminating amenities. Buyers got less for their money, contributing to market uncertainty. The tariffs threw a wrench into the balance between supply and demand in the housing market. As construction costs soared, the pace of new home construction slowed. This shrank the inventory of available homes, putting upward pressure on prices. The DMV's strong job market and limited land supply created natural tension. The tariffs exacerbated this imbalance, leading to bidding wars and higher prices. Imagine being a home builder with a carefully crafted plan to construct a new subdivision. The tariffs hit, and the cost of everything needed to build those homes skyrockets. Many builders opted to delay projects until the dust settled. This reluctance to break ground further constricted the supply of new homes. Buyers faced a competitive market with fewer options, leading to frustration and postponed homeownership dreams. Section 3. The missing middle. A gap in affordable housing. The tariffs' impact on the DMV's housing supply wasn't limited to luxury homes or sprawling McMansions. In fact, the most significant impact was felt in the missing middle, the segment of the market that caters to middle-income earners, young families, and first-time homebuyers. These homes, townhouses, duplexes, and smaller single-family homes are often the entry point into homeownership, providing an alternative to renting and a path toward building wealth. However, as construction costs rose, this segment of the market became increasingly squeezed, leaving a gap in affordable housing options. Builders, faced with shrinking profit margins, found it increasingly challenging to construct homes at price points accessible to middle-income buyers. The tariffs, by adding thousands of dollars to the cost of building materials, made it difficult to turn a profit on smaller, more affordable homes. As a result, many builders shifted their focus toward larger, more luxurious homes, where the profit margins were higher and the impact of the tariffs less pronounced. This shift in focus further exacerbated the shortage of affordable housing options, leaving many middle-income earners priced out of the market and struggling to find a place to call home. Section 4. A seller's market navigating limited inventory. In real estate, the adage location reigns supreme. But in the DMV's tariff-impacted housing market, another factor emerged as equally crucial: inventory. With a limited supply of homes for sale and a steady stream of eager buyers, the scales tipped decidedly in favor of sellers. Homes flew off the market, often receiving multiple offers above asking price. Bidding wars became commonplace, and buyers found themselves waiving contingencies and making concessions to secure their dream homes. This seller's market, while beneficial for those looking to cash in on their properties, created challenges for buyers, particularly those on a tight budget or with specific needs. First-time home buyers, often with limited savings and less experience navigating the complexities of a competitive market, found themselves at a disadvantage. The tariffs, by constricting the supply of new homes and driving up prices, had created a sense of urgency, and for some, a feeling of being priced out of the market they had hoped to enter. Navigating this challenging landscape required patience, persistence, and a willingness to adapt to the realities of a market where demand far outstripped supply. Section 1. The Affordability Squeeze, Dreams Deferred. For many aspiring homeowners, the American dream includes a white picket fence, a cozy fireplace, and maybe even a tire swing hanging from a sturdy oak tree. But in the DMV's tariff-impacted housing market, that dream started to feel increasingly out of reach for a growing number of hopeful buyers. As construction costs soared, pushing up home prices, affordability emerged as a significant hurdle, particularly for first-time buyers and those with limited budgets. The tariffs, intended to protect American industries, had inadvertently created a barrier to entry for those hoping to climb the property ladder. Imagine a young couple, both working diligently and saving every penny they can to purchase their first home. They've meticulously tracked their spending, diligently paid down debt, and even sacrificed vacations and nights out to reach their down payment goal. But as they scroll through online listings, a sense of discouragement washes over them. The homes they could once comfortably afford now seem like distant dreams, priced out of their reach by the tariffs' ripple effect on the market. The affordability squeeze, fueled by rising construction costs, had transformed their dream of homeownership into a source of anxiety. As if the affordability squeeze weren't enough, another challenge emerged to further complicate the home buying process. Mortgage rate volatility. Interest rates, those fickle numbers that can make or break a monthly mortgage payment, embarked on a roller coaster ride of their own, adding another layer of uncertainty to an already unpredictable market. The tariffs, by contributing to economic uncertainty and inflation fears, played a role in this rate volatility, making it even more challenging for buyers to plan and budget for their home purchases. Imagine a couple pre-approved for a mortgage, their excitement palpable as they envision themselves settling into their new home. They've found the perfect property, negotiated an offer, and are just days away from closing. Then, the news hits. Mortgage rates have spiked overnight, fueled by fears of a trade war escalation. Suddenly, their carefully calculated monthly payments are no longer feasible, throwing their home buying plans into disarray. The mortgage rate mayhem, influenced in part by the tariffs' impact on the broader economy, had injected a new level of stress into the home buying process. With affordability concerns mounting and mortgage rates behaving like a yo-yo, many potential homebuyers in the DMV found themselves facing a difficult dilemma to buy now, or to wait in hopes of a more favorable market. The tariffs had created a sense of uncertainty that permeated every aspect of the housing market, leaving buyers unsure of whether to take the plunge or sit on the sidelines and risk missing out on their dream homes. The decision to buy or wait became a personal gamble, influenced by individual financial situations, risk tolerance, and a healthy dose of speculation about the future of the market. Imagine a couple debating whether to purchase their first home. They've found a property they love, but they're hesitant to commit in such a volatile market. What if prices drop next month, leaving them feeling like they overpaid? But what if they wait, only to see prices continue to rise, pushing homeownership even further out of reach? The tariffs, by injecting a level of unpredictability into the market, had transformed the home buying process from an exciting milestone into a nerve-wracking waiting game. In a seller's market fueled by limited inventory and strong demand, competition for desirable homes reached a fever pitch. Buyers, eager to secure their slice of the DMV's housing pie, found themselves caught in bidding wars, often submitting offers above asking price and making concessions to stand out from the crowd. The tariffs, by contributing to the inventory shortage, had intensified competition, forcing buyers to become more aggressive in their pursuit of homeownership. Imagine a couple attending an open house, their eyes widening as they see a line of eager buyers snaking out the door. They'd hoped to take their time, carefully considering their options, but the competitive atmosphere injects a sense of urgency into their search. They realize that to even stand a chance, they'll need to act quickly, perhaps even offering above asking price and waiving contingencies they'd hoped to keep in place. The tariffs, by creating a sense of scarcity in the market, had transformed the home buying process into a high-stakes competition. The silver lining opportunities amidst challenges. While the tariffs undoubtedly presented challenges for homebuyers in the DMV, they also created opportunities for those willing to adapt and think strategically. The market, though competitive, was not without its silver linings. Buyers who approached the process with patience, flexibility, and a willingness to consider a wider range of options often found themselves rewarded with hidden gems and unexpected deals. Imagine a couple who, after months of searching, had almost given up hope of finding their dream home within their budget. Discouraged by the competitive market and rising prices, they decided to expand their search radius, venturing slightly outside their preferred neighborhoods. To their surprise, they stumbled upon a charming property, tucked away on a quiet street that had been overlooked by other buyers. The home, while not perfect, checked most of their boxes and, most importantly, fit comfortably within their budget. The tariffs, while challenging, had inadvertently led them to their perfect nest egg. Sometimes, the greatest opportunities arise when we least expect them. The golden handcuffs, the rate lock dilemma. For many homeowners in the DMV, the rise in mortgage rates brought on by the tariffs created a conundrum, a classic case of being stuck between a rock and a hard place. Imagine this. You purchased your home a few years ago when interest rates were at historic lows, securing a sweet 3% mortgage. Now, with the tariffs fueling rate hikes, those same mortgages are hovering around 7% or higher. Suddenly, selling your current home, while potentially lucrative in a seller's market, means giving up that incredibly low interest rate and potentially facing a significantly higher monthly payment on your next home. This dilemma, often referred to as the rate lock effect, left many homeowners feeling like they were wearing golden handcuffs, tethered to their current homes by the allure of an unbeatable mortgage rate. This rate lock effect rippled through the DMV's housing market, influencing sellers' decisions and further constricting inventory. Homeowners, faced with the prospect of significantly higher housing costs if they moved, opted to stay put, delaying their plans to upsize, downsize, or relocate. The allure of that low mortgage rate, a symbol of financial security in uncertain times, proved too tempting to resist, even amidst a seller's market. This reluctance to sell further exacerbated the inventory shortage, putting upward pressure on prices and creating a challenging environment for buyers. The inventory equation, staying put versus cashing in. The tariffs' impact on the DMV's housing market created a fascinating tug-of-war, a delicate balancing act between the allure of cashing in on a seller's market and the pragmatic concerns of affordability and inventory. On one hand, homeowners, particularly those who had owned their homes for several years, saw their property values skyrocket as demand outstripped supply. The temptation to sell, to reap the rewards of a hot market and potentially downsize or relocate with a hefty profit, was undeniable. On the other hand, the prospect of re-entering that same market as a buyer, facing stiff competition, rising prices, and the dreaded rate lock effect, gave many sellers pause. This internal debate, played out in living rooms and around kitchen tables across the DMV, became a defining characteristic of the tariff-impacted housing market. For some, the financial incentive to sell outweighed the challenges of buying in a competitive market. They saw an opportunity to capitalize on their home equity, perhaps using the proceeds to purchase a smaller home outright or relocate to a more affordable area. For others, the risks outweighed the potential rewards. They valued the stability of owning their homes outright or maintaining a low mortgage payment, even if it meant delaying their dream move or missing out on a potential windfall. Section 3. Pricing power versus market stagnation, finding the sweet spot. In a seller's market, it's tempting to slap a high price tag on your home and wait for the offers to roll in. But the tariffs, while contributing to a seller's market in the DMV, also introduced an element of caution. Sellers, while aware of their pricing power, also recognized the potential for market stagnation if prices rose too high, too quickly. Finding the sweet spot, the price point that attracted buyers without deterring them, became a delicate dance, a balancing act between maximizing profit and ensuring a timely sale. Some sellers, emboldened by the competitive market and rising prices, adopted an aggressive pricing strategy, listing their homes at the top of or even above market value. This approach, while potentially lucrative, carried risks. Buyers, increasingly priced out of certain neighborhoods or property types, might balk at inflated prices, opting instead to wait for more reasonable options or expand their search to more affordable areas. Other sellers, recognizing the potential pitfalls of overpricing, chose a more moderate approach, pricing their homes competitively but realistically, aiming to attract serious buyers and avoid lengthy market times. Section 4. A balancing act, weighing the pros and cons of selling. The decision to sell a home is rarely taken lightly, and in the DMV's tariff-impacted housing market, that decision became even more complex. Sellers found themselves weighing a multitude of factors, balancing the potential financial gains against the challenges and uncertainties of re-entering the market as buyers. It was a decision that required careful consideration of individual circumstances, financial goals, and a realistic assessment of the market's trajectory. On the pros side of the scale were the obvious financial incentives, the potential to sell for a significant profit, to capitalize on rising home values, and perhaps to downsize or relocate with a hefty nest egg. The seller's market, fueled in part by the tariffs' impact on inventory, created a unique opportunity for homeowners to cash in on their investments. On the cons side were the challenges and uncertainties of becoming a buyer in the same market. The stiff competition, the rising prices, the rate lock effect, and the overall sense of unpredictability. For many sellers, the decision came down to a personal calculus, a careful weighing of the potential rewards against the inherent risks. Section 1. A glimmer of hope inventory inches upward. Remember that bustling farmer's market with picked-over produce and sky-high prices? Imagine a new truck pulling in, laden with fresh fruits and vegetables. That's what a slight uptick in inventory felt like in the DMV's housing market. While still a far cry from a buyer's market, this glimmer of hope offered a welcome respite from the relentless inventory crunch that had defined the post-tariff landscape. Buyers, weary from competing in bidding wars and settling for less-than-ideal properties, breathed a collective sigh of relief as more for-sale signs popped up in their desired neighborhoods. This modest increase in inventory stemmed from a confluence of factors. Some homeowners, initially hesitant to sell amidst the uncertainty of the tariffs, decided to test the waters, enticed by the prospect of still fetching a good price for their homes. Others, perhaps spurred by life changes or a desire to capitalize on their home equity before the market cooled, finally took the plunge and listed their properties. Builders, too, began to adapt to the new normal of higher material costs, gradually ramping up construction and adding to the available inventory, albeit at a slower pace than before the tariffs took hold. Section 2. Days on market, a shift in the balance of power. In the fast-paced, competitive market that defined the immediate aftermath of the tariffs, homes often flew off the market within days, sometimes even hours of being listed. Buyers, caught in a frenzy of urgency, submitted offers sight unseen, waived inspections, and engaged in bidding wars that drove prices skyward. But as inventory inched upward, a subtle shift occurred, a rebalancing of power that gave buyers a bit more leverage and a moment to catch their breath. Homes that once garnered multiple offers within hours of hitting the market now lingered a bit longer, perhaps a week or two, before finding a buyer. This extra time, while seemingly insignificant in a normal market, represented a significant shift in the DMV's post-tariff landscape. Buyers, no longer feeling the pressure to make snap decisions, had the luxury of touring properties more than once, comparing options, and even negotiating on price and contingencies. The market, while still favoring sellers, had lost some of its frenetic energy, creating a slightly more balanced playing field for those seeking to purchase a home. Section 3. Price adjustments, a reality check for sellers. The slight uptick in inventory and the accompanying increase in days on market brought about another notable price adjustments. Sellers, accustomed to setting ambitious asking prices and receiving multiple offers above those prices, began to encounter a new reality. A reality where buyers, armed with more choices and a bit more time to deliberate, were less likely to overpay for properties. Those homes listed at the very top of the market, perhaps with the hope of capitalizing on the post-tariff frenzy, were often met with crickets. Buyers, no longer feeling the same sense of urgency or fear of missing out, were more discerning with their budgets, opting instead to pursue properties priced more realistically. This shift in buyer behavior forced some sellers to reevaluate their pricing strategies, leading to a wave of price adjustments, particularly for those homes that had lingered on the market for several weeks without attracting serious offers. Section 4. The Crystal Ball. Navigating an uncertain future. As with any complex system, predicting the future of the DMV's housing market in the wake of the tariffs is a fool's errand. Too many variables, economic conditions, interest rate fluctuations, government policies, even global events, can influence the delicate dance between supply and demand. However, by analyzing current trends, understanding the factors at play, and approaching the market with a healthy dose of caution and a willingness to adapt, both buyers and sellers can navigate this uncertain terrain with greater confidence. One thing is clear: the tariffs have left an indelible mark on the DMV's housing market. The days of rapid-fire sales, skyrocketing prices, and bidding wars over every listing are likely over, at least for the foreseeable future. Buyers, while still facing a competitive market, have a bit more breathing room, a chance to be more selective and strategic in their search. Sellers, while still in a relatively strong position, need to be realistic about pricing and prepared to adjust their expectations as the market continues to evolve. The key, as always, is to stay informed, seek expert advice, and make decisions based on a clear understanding of both the opportunities and the challenges that lie ahead. The future of the DMV's housing market, much like the fate of those intricately crafted sandcastles on a windy beach, hinges on a key element of uncertainty: the tariffs. Will they remain in place, a constant force shaping the cost of construction and influencing buyer behavior? Or will they be lifted, ushering in a new era of stability, and perhaps even a surge in construction as builders regain confidence? The answer, unfortunately, lies shrouded in the mists of political and economic uncertainty. The tariffs, imposed with the goal of protecting American industries and jobs, have undoubtedly had a significant impact on the housing market. The question now is whether those goals have been achieved, or whether the costs, particularly to consumers and industries reliant on imported goods, outweigh the benefits. The political winds are constantly shifting, and any change in policy, whether a doubling down on tariffs or a move toward easing trade tensions, will send ripples through the housing market. Buyers, sellers, and industry professionals alike are left to watch and wait, hoping for a predictable forecast but prepared for the unpredictable nature of global economics and political maneuvering. Remember those mortgage rates? The ones that seem to have a mind of their own, fluctuating with every economic tremor and policy announcement? Well, buckle up, because the ride isn't over yet. The Federal Reserve, tasked with the unenviable job of keeping inflation in check while fostering economic growth, holds the reins of interest rates, and their decisions have a direct impact on the affordability and accessibility of homeownership in the DMV and beyond. The tariffs, by contributing to uncertainty and inflation fears, have played a role in the Fed's recent interest rate decisions. Higher tariffs can lead to higher prices for consumer goods, which can, in turn, fuel inflation. The Fed, in an effort to combat inflation, may raise interest rates, making it more expensive to borrow money and potentially cooling down the housing market. Conversely, if the tariffs are lifted and inflation remains under control, the Fed may lower interest rates, making mortgages more affordable and potentially stimulating the housing market. It's a delicate balancing act, one that requires careful monitoring of economic indicators and a bit of crystal ball gazing to predict the Fed's next move. Navigating the DMV's housing market in the wake of the tariffs, with interest rates fluctuating and an election looming, may feel like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But don't despair. With the right strategies and a clear understanding of the forces at play, you can successfully navigate this complex landscape, whether you're a seasoned homeowner, a first-time buyer, or a savvy investor. For buyers, patience, flexibility, and a willingness to think outside the box are key. Don't be afraid to expand your search radius. Consider a wider range of property types and work with a knowledgeable real estate agent who can guide you through the complexities of the market. Keep a close eye on interest rates, explore different mortgage options, and be prepared to act decisively when you find the right property. For sellers, realistic pricing, meticulous preparation, and a willingness to negotiate are essential. Highlight your home's unique features, showcase its value, and work with an experienced agent who can market your property effectively and help you secure the best possible price. And for everyone, stay informed. Follow market trends, read industry news, and consult with financial advisors to make informed decisions that align with your individual circumstances and long-term goals. Remember, knowledge is power, especially in a dynamic market like the DMV.